What's up, you guys? It's Lincoln here with Tagger Finance. I wanted to start a new series. I'm calling it the 3 option strategies everybody should be using. I'm going over the first strategy today. This is the only buying strategy. The other 2 are both selling. I think you guys should pay attention to this. I think you'll find it very valuable and useful. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So this strategy is a way to buy stocks for half the price or less. You're capturing nearly 100% of the upside, not quite, but it's very close. You're drastically reducing your downside risk because of less upfront capital, and you're going to double your ROI because of the same reason. So after watching this video, if you ever want to buy 100 shares of stock again and not use this strategy, then I did something wrong. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to show I'm just going to use an example. I think it'll be the easiest to show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to be buying deep in the money calls. And I'm going to be talking about leaps specifically here. You don't have to do leaps, but that is what I use it for. So you might have heard of this before, so let's go ahead and jump in and see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be using Micron as an example. You can see on Monday, October 12th, it closed at $50.68. It's saying 73 right now, but it's up 0.5 after hours, so that is where it is at. So let's go ahead and look at the longest term they have, which is January 2022, and I'm going to look at a deep in the money call. So generally, we're going to want to pick these round numbers of $15 or $20. You can see the volume here. There was one traded today. There's 218 open interest. So I'm going to check the $20 call. That one had 6 and a little bit more open interest. So this is the one we're going to use as an example. So buying this gives you the right to 100 shares of Micron, buying at $20 between now and January 21st, 2022. So you can see you're paying $31.28 per share for this right, which puts your break even at $51.28, which is 60 cents higher than where it closed at today. So you can see you need it to go up 1% between now and January 2022 to break even. So let's jump into a spreadsheet and look at the differences between buying this call at $20 or buying 100 shares of Micron today. So here it is. I have the stock price, and then if you bought the 100 shares outright, what that return would give you. And then if you bought that $20 call, and the same thing what that return would give you. So you can see right here, Micron closed at $50.68. That $20 call that we just looked at is $31.28 right here. And so you break even $51.28 or 1.18%. So we'll basically say the stock's right at $50. Say by January 2022, it doesn't move at all. It's still exactly at $50. Where are you going to be? So you're going to lose, if you would have bought 100 shares, you'd be out $68. Or if you would have bought that call, you'd be out $128 because you basically lost all of the extrinsic value. You only have the intrinsic value left. So that would be worth, that $20 call would be worth $50 exactly, so you'd be up $30 on it. That difference would be $1.28 per share, so $128. So a loss of 4% versus 1%. So let's look at the worst case scenario now. If you bought 100 shares outright, it would cost you $5,068. If you bought a $20 call, it would cost you $3,128. So your max loss, if this goes to zero, $5,068 versus $31.28. So you can see if it drops to $10, you're still better off. If it drops to $15, you're still better off. When you're at 20, this is the range right here where you're going to be worse off buying the call versus buying the shares outright. So you have this kind of sweet spot or opposite of a sweet spot where this call, you're worse off if it drops in this range. If you're buying 100 shares of stock and it goes down 60% in 2 years, chances are you're going to have sold it along the way. And same thing with the option. So these differences are very marginal. You got a $60 difference the whole way down. So if it does fall into that unlucky range, worst case scenario, you're $60 off. But basically, worst case scenario, you're $60 off buying that call, which over the course of 2 years and costing you almost half as much capital outlay, I think that's a great bet to be making. And then if we look, say Micron goes on a huge run, goes up to $150 a share. You can see if you bought 100 shares, it'd be worth $9,932 for almost a 200% return. If instead you bought that $20 call and it goes to 150, you're now making $9,872, so slightly less. It's a 316% return, just because your your initial outlay is only $31.28. So this is just basically a strategy to use way less capital, capture almost the same upside. You might be wondering why you'll always make more money if you bought the stock when it goes up. It's basically because when you're buying this call, it has a delta. You see that delta is less than 1. So this just means if Micron, just to make it easy, we'll say Micron's at $50 and this delta is at 96. If Micron goes to $51, this is going to go up by 96 cents. So it's going to go from 31.28 to 22.24. So that's the numbers behind that. If we scroll down and click on this 15, the delta is going to be higher. So you can see 97.59. So this $15 call, hopefully the advantages to doing this are obvious. If you have $10,000, instead of buying 200 shares of Micron, you could buy these two $20 calls and you'd still have $4,000 left over. So you end up controlling those 200 shares of Micron, which is what you wanted to do in the first place. You still have $4,000 to spread around elsewhere. So it's a great way to leverage your money and increase your returns. You're drastically reducing your downside risk and improving on your ROI. So I think it's a very powerful strategy if you do this over time and with a lot of your holdings. You can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be individual stocks. If you're an index fund holder, instead of buying 100 shares of SPY, if you buy deep in the money SPY call, let's go ahead and look at what those look like. It's going to be the same thing though. So if you want to buy 100 shares of SPY today, it costs you $35,000. Go ahead and do the same thing, January 22, and then we'll just go look at the $100. I guess I don't have it. Do the 150. No volume there, so 200. No volume today, but there's some open interest, so this will work. So you can see this would cost you $15,000. So again, this would cost you less than half, and your break even is $354.05. So 0.3% up. So there's the same thing. You have a 97 delta. It's basically tandeming the move to the upside and the downside, but it gives you that long exposure for this, in this case, less than half the cost. So that is the huge benefit to doing this. You can make your kind of stretch your money, make it work for you more. You're leveraging your dollars, but you're not taking out margin to do so. You're not putting yourself in very risky situation, but you are giving yourself a lot better chance for some big upside and some big gains. So if you're ever thinking about buying 100 shares or more of stock, I hope you'll consider using this deep in the money call buying strategy. Obviously there's kind of some synthetic leverage what you're getting. You can see there's chance that you're worse off as opposed to buying the shares outright for $60 and for about 60% of the cost. I'll be buying this deep in the money calls all day long. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We will be talking about the second and third option strategies in the coming weeks. So make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and go ahead and subscribe if you are looking for more information and content like this. I'll keep posting multiple videos per week. Thanks for watching.